Imagine a party that never ends. The music is banging, you are dancing while your friends are laughing. It's fun, at least right now. But then hours pass. Your legs start to ache. You run out of breath. You want to rest. You have to stop. But your body doesn't listen to you. Days pass. The soles of your feet are full of sores. You are dehydrated, starving, and terrified. You faint from exhaustion. But the moment you wake up, you stand up and start dancing again. This wasn't a fairy tale. This wasn't a horror movie. This was a true story. And it was lethal. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are examining one of history's most interesting unsolved files. We are going 500 years back to the city of Strasbourg. We are going to an interesting, unstoppable summer of madness where hundreds of people were caught in a curse to dance until they died. What caused this? Poison? A spell? Or something terrible in the depths of the human brain? The year is 1518. The place, Strasbourg, a part of the Holy Roman Empire. Life here was already like a horror movie. Winters were brutal, the harvest had failed, and disease was everywhere. People were hungry, fearful, and incredibly stressed. They lived constantly fearing God's wrath. The city was like a powder keg waiting for a spark. That spark was lit in the middle of July by a woman named Frau Troffea. One Tuesday, Frau Troffea left her house and entered a narrow alley. And for no apparent reason, she started to dance. There was no music. There was no celebration. Just Frau Troffea, spinning and stomping in the silence. It is said her husband told her to stop and come inside. The woman ignored him. She couldn't hear him. She danced for hours until she fainted in a sweaty heap. They carried her inside and put her to bed. But the next morning, she got up, went out again, and started dancing again. She danced nonstop for exactly 6 days. By the end of the week, the neighbors weren't just watching anymore. They were joining this woman too. It spread like a virus. Within a week, 30 more people had joined Frau Troffea. By August, the numbers grew significantly. More than 400 people were on the streets of Strasbourg, under the influence of this crazy, joyless dance. This wasn't a festival. This was a scene from hell. Historical findings describe people screaming for help, begging for it to stop even while their legs continued to dance. Their feet had turned into bloody piles of flesh. The human body was not created to exercise non-stop in the summer heat. Those dancing started to fall one by one. They were losing their lives to heart attacks, strokes, and exhaustion. According to a report, it claims 15 people died every day at the peak of the plague. The city council was in a panic. What would you do if your people were sending themselves to an early grave by dancing? They consulted local doctors. The doctors ruled out supernatural causes. Their diagnosis? The victims were suffering from overheated blood. And the prescription? Their prescription was much more dancing. Authorities argued that to keep the victims' blood cold, they just needed to dance it out. This was an unbelievable mistake. They emptied grain markets to make dance floors. They even hired professional musicians playing drums and flutes to keep the dancers moving. The music didn't work at all. It just made things worse. The rhythm acted like a contagious disease, pulling more innocent onlookers into this madness. The cure was fueling the fire. When we came to September, the madness finally stopped when the survivors were taken to a mountain shrine to ask for forgiveness. But for 500 years we have been asking this question. Why? What actually happened in Strasbourg? Theory number 1 is about something they ate. In the Middle Ages, rye bread was a staple food. If rye gets wet, a toxic mold called ergot can form on it. Ergot is chemically similar to LSD. Consuming this can cause ergotism, also known as Saint Anthony's fire. This disease leads to terrible hallucinations, burning sensations in the limbs, and violent twitching seizures. It sounds logical, but there is still a problem. Ergot poisoning usually cuts off blood flow to the legs, which makes it impossible to walk, let alone dance for a week. And the movements in Strasbourg weren't random seizures. They were rhythmic dances. This leads us to the most likely and perhaps the creepiest theory: it was all inside their heads. Today we call this mass psychogenic illness or mass hysteria. Remember the context. The people of Strasbourg were living under extreme, unbearable stress. Also, they believed in curses very much. There was a specific legend about Saint Vitus, a saint who could punish sinners by making them dance. When Frau Troffea started dancing, perhaps the desperate, terrified minds of the onlookers saw this not as a physical act, but as a divine curse. The belief that they could be next, combined with extreme stress, caused their own bodies to rebel. Their minds broke and the curse turned into reality. This was a shared psychic nightmare. The dancing plague of 1518 was not only the single event where this happened in history, but it was the biggest and the deadliest. This event is a terrifying reality of how strong the human mind can be and how little we still know about the breaking points of our own minds. Was it a toxic fungus? Or the pure terror of living in a world that felt cursed? Let me know your theories in the comments below. If you like this dive into history's madness, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe for more strange stories like this from the past. Thanks for watching.